Yes. Hey everyone. Welcome to The Root Cause. What a great way to start the show. And I am very happy to introduce my first guest. Today I have someone who I have known personally for a very long time. We met in college, have stayed close through about almost a decade now. And both of us trying to figure out what we want to do and build. He went the operator route, I went the founder route. And the reason I wanted him to be on the show is that because he has seen the problem that we are going to talk about today, and from more angles than almost anybody I know would be able to answer those.
Yeah.
Uh, for Imran, he started his career at TCS, took a swing at building his own company, then spent the next decade going deeper into infrastructure, reliability at GE Healthcare, Avesha, Razorpay, Firebolt. His career spans from dev to senior dev, engineering manager, and he built teams underneath him at each stop. And outside his day job, he is a Docker captain. He maintains KubeSlice, an open source project in multi-cluster Kubernetes space. And he has spoken at KCD Pune. So if you have run anything serious in production in the last 10 years, there is a good chance you have run it on something that he has worked on. Here, he is not present to talk about his companies. He is here as a friend and as someone who has lived the problems what this show is about. So Imran, welcome to The Root Cause.
Thank you, Priyank. Thanks. Thank you so much. I think it's a long waited podcast. I think from last 3 years, people are asking you the same question when you're going to start it. And here it is. And I'm honored to be your first guest. And yeah, happy to take it
Thank,
from here.
thanks. I know I was also waiting a lot for
Yeah, I
this.
know.
All right. So Imran, jumping straight
Yeah.
to the discussion or topic that I wanted to cover is
Mm-hmm.
across the 10 years of you operating the systems,
Yeah.
G Healthcare, Razorpay, Firebolt, even your open source work and being a Docker captain, right? How many incidents did you see got a full root cause analysis? Not closed, not mitigated, fully root caused with a real honest understanding of why it happened.
So, man, this the first question you asked is very difficult because okay, it's difficult to answer because Priyank, I think this is something in day to day in industry. It's a very common thing to handle. So when you develop something, when your software is on platform, the first thing you do, you try to handle this incident. You try to create some kind of incident management team. Either your dev is handling or SRE teams specialization. So what I'm trying to say is it's very difficult to answer. I have seen some days 60 issues per day to 700 to 800 per month. I have seen a lot. So but I can tell you from your question, you want to know how much is closed like a full circuit with the RCA. Yes, the number is very less. The count of the incident and derivative from the action items from that incident is less. What generally I can tell you with this incident happens is we try to patch things up. So we fix it. It's not like we don't, because that's exactly the business impact if you don't going to fix it. But the answer to is I don't know, but the number is very huge. And generally it's like untouched, unattended. Most of these issues are unattended because you focus on something which is really causing the pain of your business. But generally this out of this 700, 800 issue you monthly you're getting right now, you just buried some place, it is buried in the document. I'm talking about not one or two companies, every company does that. So yeah, this number is very very huge, which is really getting closed. And and the portion it's more huge which has not even touched upon, just apart from some firefighting done on that or some kind of a patching haven't done. That's it.
Absolutely. I think I also agree a lot towards it because in my experience I have seen the very similar aspect.
Yeah.
But a lot of tooling has been there for quite some time. What do you think observability has already solved and what it has not yet?
So, yes, means I think if you see this way, I agreed. I think from a start of my career, I have seen a legacy trading system used logs as a txt file dumping on a some space like storage, which some remote server. And really, if you want to go and search, just understand how difficult it will be to from like multiple everyday's text file or every hour's text file, you have to go and figure out what's happened. So there are toolings, and frankly, I have seen those tooling build in the industry from scratch. Means people start using it from their own to go from the third party tools, which is doing very fabulous job, no doubt in that. So yes, tooling is there, and what exactly solve is this part. So now if you want to know something, there is two part of this one. So earlier, to generate logs and how it will going to be stored and all this, it was difficult because you have to plan it, you have to build something around this one, you have to have a own project to run to make sure the log is going in right correct way. This is solved. Now there is a place you can get everything. You have your own retention policies, you can get your older things. That also give us a flexibility for any small moment, not even a big event, you push everything to this tooling system. Either it's an event, if it's a cloud, or if it's some kind of specific notification you want to store for your specific times. So it's easy now. This is solved. The visibility, in a single term, I can say the visibility is much, much better right now. Now you have something where you can see things, which earlier was very difficult to manage. So I have seen those days, and this is the difference I'm seeing right now in the industry.
Makes sense. I think the in my opinion, the main objective of observability tool was to make sure the MTTR is being reduced. Uh, However, that has not happened, in my opinion, because you do get visibility, but you are also getting more code now in the system, so it
Yeah.
becomes much more challenging. But yeah, I think it's a very structural problem, and solving it actually is required.
So I want to point some specific, like I want to focus on this topic right now. You said MTTR, right? So MTTR is something which was pre this cloud era software SaaS tool. I think this is still exists in the industry. This is a very important metrics which owns by the engineer, but the impact is on the product. In a simplified way, if this is not even improving in your company, that means you have more downtime. That means your customer experiences are going in, I don't know, in gutter, and moreover, like you're losing money. So understand this. So this MTTR with this tooling, it helped. Now you know where to go and search, but the question remains same. There is a person who need to understand where to search, what to search, and what's the time span I'm really looking for, right? So it's not, the problem is not solved. The way earlier people were doing, the mode of doing is changed because of the new observability in the market. And this MTTR, I think I love to know more about also, because I have read your article about the MTTU, and I have written a post in the LinkedIn also, because I discussed with you last time, right? 15-20 days, I think back we were discussing. So we always see this like resolution, because that's really matter for the business or product when it's getting resolved. But the reality is, if we don't understand what's this, how it's going to be solved, how it's going to be resolved, it's very difficult to resolve itself. So the MTTU something which I saw a very good potential, and I really like to know, do you see this is really working, or is industry still chasing right now on the MTTR side? How do you see this?
Yep. See, the concept of MTTU came in when I was building Rubik's Cube and a very early stage actually.
Hmm.
The objective or the North Star was how I can reduce the MTTR, because that's the ultimate goal, right, of any kind
Yeah.
of tooling like this. From the onset of an issue till it is getting resolved, there are multiple phases of a life cycle of an incident that happens.
Yeah.
There is this detection part. we often refer to is MTTD, mean time
Yeah.
to detect, right? There are a lot of toolings which enable us to detect things faster and get us an alert so that we can start working on it. We acknowledge that incident and then we move towards solving it. What I only did is just break down this whole MTTR cycle and identify the MTTU phase, which is mean time to understand, because this is the longest phase wherein you are investigating, you are asking people, you are first of all finding people who you should be asking questions to, and then
Hmm.
going after them, chasing them, getting a response from them, trying to debug things via observability tools and telemetry and metrics and other things. And then once you understand, the solution part is
Yeah.
very easy. There could be just a 4 line command that you need to run. There could be a code change that would go live. It may require 2 days, 5 days, but the longest time or the struggling phase of an SRE person who is responsible for reducing this MTTR is this
Mhm.
phase of mean time to understand. And
Yeah.
that's it. That is the portion which I am trying to solve by giving Rubik's cube that understanding, and uh, whatever a human being does, basically the similar thing in a more agentic or optimized autonomous way. That's all.
Mm. No, I always see. I always admire new tech. That's why I think you also remember we being the part of the open source, because we understood this is something which is going to change the industry, right? Not always the proprietary software. The open source someone can use. When the AI came, I absolutely am sure the things which we do day to day basis, which is very manual in task, which is boilerplates, no need to done. I'm 100%. I'm like my all hands to the deck. Like AI can solve it. If you see the writing codes in the right day to day out, that some company claiming 70%, someone 80, someone 90% their production code is like from the generated by the AI. So yes, I also believe there is certain extent we will require AI in our production, though as the part from the engineering side, I'm little skeptical also, like probably it can happen. I'm hearing a lot of bad news in the industry, right? Someone getting database deleted, some table got deleted, and also so I know this will going to come. The only thing is I'm still trying to see from obviously a lot of time I discuss with you, I see a way you're thinking right now from the Rubik's cube how you can solve this problem, but I'm still want to see like how as a whole this AI SRE concept in the industry come up with this type of solution, like where you have something in the production where AI is working, but I can still sleep, man, in the end over the night. I don't have to worry like something is can go wrong and it will do destroy my whole infrastructure in just in a second. How I'm still confused. Maybe I want to see more, but I want to know from your perspective also, like how do you see this?
Yeah. See, adoption in any space, even in the development space, was always a challenge. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Anything that is a black box, that you do not know how it functions, you will never be able to fully, rely on it. So
Agreed.
that always
Yeah.
has been a challenge. However, the values and the impact that we are observing in the industry, I'm very bullish on that. I
Mm.
I am seeing a single person starting a company and running a 10-man army just by creating agents in cloud code. So
Mm-hmm.
there are things, let's say even 90% or 80% of things, if they can be automated, human beings are there to handle those 10%. Using it efficiently is something that we should tend towards or move towards. But as you mentioned, putting it inside a production is going to be a challenge always.
Yeah. Yeah.
SREs, DevOps folks are always skeptical about putting anything untried, untested. So that is there. That is for sure will be there, and that is good that we have it so that we can build better products. Now, ensuring a good harness of guardrails, security practices, and uh, basically the first approach that
Yeah.
I take is zero trust. wherein you do not allow it to do anything. You
Okay.
first gain the trust and then only ask it to do some things that you would otherwise do not. Basically, start with an observe only mode, right? Any tooling.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
something can assist you, it becomes much more easier to rely on it and trust it. And if even that can help you solve, alleviate a lot of time, lot of latencies in your workflow, it is a useful tool, right? The impact and trust is gained once you start to see what is the value it is going to bring in. If certain decisions are taken and there is a human oversight on that, and it agrees that okay, the decision or whatever action items that are to be taken up is correct, and after the approval the agents can do that in production as well.
Okay.
Because ultimately it's not about fully making it fully autonomous, but ensuring that you have that trust, and basically you should not waste your weekends on something which can be automated. That's my ultimate goal. It
That
takes a
means
while to gain the trust, but we are moving towards it.
agreed. I'm not denying it. Yeah. See, as you understand, the point from where the industry is right now is there are. I have seen, I think, I don't know, hundreds of tools by this time, like people trying to solve in observability, either from the intelligence way or faster, like searching way, or there are tools also right now trying to figure out a incident out of the logs and try to figure out like by autonomously. The thing which I still see as a AI SRE, like it's very big, right? The things, the responsibility of a SRE or a people who is understanding this type of issue day to day and fixing, it's big. Now in this responsibility at the whole, the boom of this, like putting AI into the production and solving this, now I'm still saying it will not going to replace human. Okay. But I'm also, as I mentioned, I know AI is solving a lot of problems, so I can see like AI will solve props, like solve problem, but maybe some, to some extent. I'm not sure how much, but to some extent, a SRE will be like on relief mode, or a guy who is working on a on call can be relief mode because there is some kind of AI is working with him. So that's how I'm seeing the industry right now is like looking at it. But I would just like to understand also, like, is this something you also working on, or you are want to go beyond this?
My so the current situation, you are absolutely right. This one trend I can give you an insight on is, while talking to customers, what I am seeing is
Mm-hmm.
it's not me who is doing this something new. Everybody is adopting AI in some form or the other, and
Uh,
people are already trying to solve it internally in in-house products. And this is what a job of an SR is, right? To automate whatever task is being done. If an incident
yep.
comes once, it should not be repeated. That's the ultimate objective of an SRE. Everything should be running as usual. Now, to get that, everybody is trying out various kind of approaches. It could be a RAG based system, wherein you identify runbooks and you trigger those at
Yep.
the correct operation, identifying false positives in alert noise, right? A lot of alert come and you have to identify which needs my attention. So these kind of individual use cases are being already being done by people.
Okay.
So adoption wise, there already is a wave.
Okay.
What I'm thinking, and I could be totally wrong about it, but what my understanding is, the role of an SRE, at least the incident management aspect of things, was a workaround till we did not have a proper approach or a technology to alleviate that, eliminate that.
Okay.
But we do have that now. I'll tell you one thing. So this is very interesting. Rubik's Cube
Okay.
is running on Rubik's Cube. And if you check our status page, you do not see any tickets. Because by the time the ticket is being created, it's automatically being resolved. I trust that. I do have some contingencies in place. but it is automatically resolving it. From our customers, if I tell you, the lowest number goes to 15 seconds, 45 seconds, uh, and at an average of 4.13 minutes is according to all the customers that we have, 4.13 seconds to sorry, minutes to understand an issue and get to an action item, get to a root cause of why something is failing. And
Yeah.
it happens not just because of the AI, but because of how AI is tuned to understand the system better and give a better prediction. So the more you
But
right now,
Priyank,
if you, yeah.
agreed. But think this way. So I have seen systems which I'm on. My God, means I have seen system generating bugs daily, like it's in a number of hundreds. So imagine a system, a place where there is a code or there is a very large system, and collectively, and at least one thing we 100% everybody will going to agree is bug is something we you cannot, you cannot say there is no bug in a system. It's something is inevitable, it will be there will be corner cases in any cases, and I have system like collectively 100 plus bugs generating every day. So what you're trying to say, if this AI tuned work, AI SREs or the tools like you building, if tuned work, this bug will go away. This is something which means I'm trying to understand, because this it require a lot of fixes or maybe a lot of this, and the bug will not go away, maybe it will reduce. But are you saying you are targeting like there shouldn't be any bug in the system, or you're trying to figure out like some, you're trying to go in like reducing this? How do you see? Because I know it will not going to be less, all system has some kind of bug and it's flooding every day.
It's going to increase, Imran.
Okay.
I'm saying the count of bugs will increase. You are hearing
Mhm.
these news about AI tools deleting databases.
Oh yeah, yeah.
These
I
are
told
not
you,
bugs.
right?
These are massacres that AI is doing.
And this is
Now,
not a fun news, man. Because
yeah,
when I hear something like this, then it will go give me more resistance to say, please, like at least after AI writing a code 10 times, I ask my engineers to at least have a proper review, because I don't want something like at least doing the SQL injection at the age of 26, 2026, and just
the problem is
yeah.
this, Imran. It's not about faster resolution or the bugs wouldn't come.
Mhm.
Everything should be, foolproof, but
Okay.
rather the amount and the volume of bugs or incidents or even the workload that is going to come in for
Hmm.
the roles that I'm targeting is going to increase substantially. And human cognition is not built in a way to support that. You cannot, so it's like this, you cannot just keep increasing the head count and hope that all the bugs will be resolved, because it requires the same amount of debugging process, the whole MTTR process of solving an issue. But if you increase that, the count substantially, and you keep increasing engineers to it, it is not going to cut it out. What I'm targeting is not to reduce the amount of bug. That is something human beings should focus on.
Okay.
Write better code, do better reviews, push push a quality code in the production so that it doesn't delete the database.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if something
Mhm.
happens in the post production system, at least 60, 70, 80%, my target would be to reach to a point where very less involvement of human beings are required for any kind of redundant tasks. If a bug is there, it should be understood and it should be solved if it is solvable. If it is not solvable, then obviously it should be properly analyzed and reported back.
Yeah. See, I'll give you one insight. I think you already know this, and when we are working on the Avisha, that time also we have faced this thing, right? Any developer who is on call, if you go and asks how how's your job, how do you feeling on a whole week when you have done the on call, yeah, the answer will be very clear, because I'm hearing this, I don't know, from like 4.5 years from every developer who is on call. They don't want to do it. They Every company has a this development team, every company has this team who want to build product, but this stuck on a on call for a week or two and trying to do something which nobody wants to do, not a single guy, because this is the worst part. I think the nightmare I've seen, because as soon as I create a roster or of a on call people to go, I never anyone see happy. And I myself, I'm saying I'm also not happy to send them, because I know their potential. I know they in a week can build something or work on something which is way more like efficient or way more better than just looking for a dashboard. I can tell you this. That's why I think I told you last time when we was discussing about the AI also, if something like this come to the industry and give this time back somehow, this will be great for any companies, because everybody knows, like everybody know in a month of a 4 week, 1 week guys is doing on call, or at least in a 2 month they are doing a 1 week of on call. And this is the biggest time of loss. As a management side, as a em side, I always feel, oh my god, if there is a way I could have get this time, that guy with so much potential to work on something else, that could be huge impact on everything. But no, there is no solution to it. We need someone who have, and that's a part of the worst part, like they have to look 24/7. It's not like, okay, 10 to 5, 9 to 5, I'm just looking to dashboard and night it will go away, because system is running 24/7. So this is some pain I can directly tell you, which is not only me. I have seen it because I was the part of this, but I've seen from the other side where I have to put someone on that, and I'm really seeing a face not happy. So yes, I also I want something this to come in the industry, so that it will solve a big problem which everybody has, everyone has. But how is the question, and probably I'm really looking for the answers right now. Companies like RubixKube, how this will be going to give this time back to the people who really wants to do something else, at least some productive work.
I'm seeing a good amount of effect that we are making actually,
Yeah.
and you're absolutely right about the pain, and that is my personal grudge on the problem statement, because I do not like being on call. I want to be free, be creative, do something new. And obviously, if there are times when I want to actually go and solve bugs, but that should be my choice. So that's a opinion, like a developer side opinion of things. If I'm just an SRE, then obviously that's my role, that's my duties, and I have to fulfill that. But nobody wants to, stay on call.
Yeah.
So something creative needs to come from human minds. That's my
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And we are seeing very good responses towards it, uh, with people who have actually been using Rubik's Cube, right? I am seeing a lot of shift in the ratio of their time. So the distribution time of an SRE typically is to solve an incident, manage an incident, and automate the infrastructure systems or tooling or make it better, right? So that shift is being very prominent in our customers. People are moving away from incident management to something which they have been parking for a very long time. They wanted to do an audit on SOC 2 compliance because that is coming up, and because of the older incidents that were being piled up, they were losing focus towards it. There are situations where cost optimization is something people wanted to do for a very long time, but are unable to focus on that because something or the other breaks keeps breaking every day. So this shift is there for sure. I'm hearing people, SREs, junior SREs, actually coming up and talking to me, saying that you helped me get my weekends back. I'm going out with my girlfriend now. So there's a weird case, but yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges, you lose a lot of personal life and personal space because of these things. So
Oh, I
those
know. Yeah.
things, and even at such an early stage, we are seeing a good enough impact. So yeah, I think it's going well.
See, don't get me wrong, but I have tried. I was looking some of the tools like this in the space, AI SRE space specifically. The term itself is very gimmicky, AI SRE. but it was mostly what I have understood is like collecting my own data, which I already have it, and dumping to, I don't know, maybe some kind of LLM in the background, maybe some famous one, and the answers are exactly that helpful, which I can do myself. Yeah, maybe a little bit of effort, but for that much of effort I don't want to feed my personal very crucial information to the LLM, which especially like you already mentioned few companies I worked, right? Those has very those not only that, like a lot of companies is very protective about data. Every company should have very protective about their data, especially customer data or healthcare data. So I don't know. It seems like again like a lot of rapper kind of a thing, means like in this space, which generally from last couple of years people are trying to do themselves. Let's assume you don't know what to run a command to get to scale a pod. You just going to say, hey, this is the error I'm getting, pasted in the chat and say what I do, and I think ChatGPT or any LLM will give you, okay, run this command, it will help you. The point which my concern was is how this will be helpful if it is this much only, means ठीक है, this is okay, but this is not something significant going to replace anything or the process itself. So the time back part which we are discussing, is it real with this much of this, with this part of the, like this is the way to solve it? I'm not sure. This, I think my engineers can do it only, right? Means, so maybe I can wrong. So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm seeing a lot of companies doing this right now. So how do you
So
see this?
you are absolutely right. No, I agree. And security, data residency, these are some of the major discussions and major points we do get even on the first call. And a very valid concern. The only thing I would say in my defense is Rubik's Cube is very flexible and controllable in ways which typically you wouldn't see in something like when you're using cursor or cloud code or chat gpt, because they are not meant to do these things. Rubik's cube is specifically designed for such a situation. So having said that, one of the ways you can avoid pushing everything to a llm, and what a lot of companies who are in a regulated setup do is
Mm.
use a local llm, or
Yeah.
use something which an organizational layer of llm, maybe in aws bedrock or some other place,
Yes.
self-hosted ones. Where are we storing the data? How is it a SaaS? It is a self-hosted setup. Bring your own cloud. These kind of flexibilities we offer right from day one. So we have thought through it. We have totally understood it. And I remember my discussions with you and other security folks who are typically in this space, because my when I started building it, my first pitch was that what are the rejections I'm going to get from
Mm.
the infosec side,
Yeah.
because I want to cross that. And that's how Rubik's cube is built fundamentally. You have every fine tune control that you want to do, and customizability and security best practices. In fact, you can ask Rubik's cube to identify what is flawed in the system. So it it's the other way around now. But yeah, you're right that in a regulated environment, it's going to be a bit challenging. But people are adapting. You are seeing a lot of new things being emerged from these companies as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. See, I have seen big names also. The giants cloud also are in this space. Obviously, I was following that news too. The only thing is, I don't know. So let me. So I was doing some research, but obviously you are expert over here. What that means is, so earlier we say AI code, so that is people are right now firing developers. So are you saying you working in this AI era, AI SRE space, so we don't need SREs? I don't. So my take on this one
That's
is,
very controversial, Imran.
so so no, so my couple of point on this is, Priyank, I don't think so, because see those guys are not only do
let, let,
this
let me
like,
frame it better.
Yeah.
So I know I have been talking to you, and you have seen industries like TCS, Razorpay, Firebolt, Avesha, from big to small, all kind of things. Do you think such a tool is going to replace SREs?
Okay, let's understand what SRE role exactly does. So they have they have two part, right? One where they have to make system reliable, stable, which is obviously comes with the incident tooling and all those things, but the reliability doesn't come by the fixing issues. The second part, which is the biggest part of this role, is to make sure this shouldn't happen, or the toolings, the automation and the tooling is such a way they should catch very early, and we should catch early, and the obvious one shouldn't happen, like scale issue due to the scale, issue due to the security, issue due to the, I don't know, numerous number of things. This is the job. Now, if you are saying AI SRE is going to do the job of the debugging, understanding the infrastructure and everything, so what I am saying is, I think it is not going to replace, frankly, if you ask me, because a human with the cognition and the power to understand from the day one how the whole system need to be built. So infrastructure need to set up by someone, right? Infrastructure need to set up by someone. Someone need to like do these automations. Maybe the part where the split was 70% do this automation and 30% the incident will reduce to 90-10. And if your claim is right, maybe it can go 95 and 5. So I don't see that will replace, but the part where SRE have to do this toil, that can go away. But again,
Absolutely. The
yeah,
That's the aim that we are targeting, not, and we want to be SRE's enabler, not a replacement. Because
lot of
and
companies, Priyank,
who I
lot of
know, I
companies,
know.
a lot of companies saying they don't, you don't want SREs. This is a claim. I'm asking you. You are working from like what months now in this?
I think it's a very wrong narrative to say. Whoever my incumbents are listening, please don't do that. Even if you somehow built a tool uh, which can 100% resolve all incidents, that's not a job, the only job of an SRE. So don't ever say it's going to replace. I am not claiming that it is going to replace anything. I only challenge the role and the work, the task of incident management, which is not correct to be provided to humans. They are good at it, but they should not be doing it. That's my grudge. That's all.
No, that makes sense. Uh, I think you guys, this whole concept, maybe we need a rename. AI SRE.
I totally agree. See, Gardner came up with this year in January, the term AI SRE.
Oh, so it's from the
And
Gartner. I didn't know that.
yes,
I
yes.
heard some. I read some article. Then I got to know. Okay, this is something calling
I
AI
tried
SRE.
naming it, Imran, earlier. I tried to name this category site reliability intelligence. I
Oh,
I
okay.
still feel it is a
Yeah.
much cleaner name,
Mhm.
because today it's AI. If something else comes and tries to solve the same problem, it's going to be outdated. So, and I think the nomenclature also impacts how people perceive it. And AI SRE is just an AI tool going to, you know,
Replace.
replace or, fix the problems
Yeah.
of an SRE. But
Mm.
what we needed is a tool which actually does what an SRE does in an efficient way, and helps reduce a lot of burden from them, take over a lot of burden from them, so that they can focus on what is more important. And it always is an assisted approach. So even if you're trying to say, let's say, set up some kind of an automation, it can do that. And there are a lot of meta approaches
See,
that can be done.
there is one thing which I have done also in the past, and I think in industry people know this, and I'll give you, I think I'm quoting the obvious, but if a SRE doesn't have a job of a SRE, they are the best DevOps engineer, they are the best software, also software engineer. They can code, they can also do the infrastructure work. So I don't know why. I have read, I think, I don't know, 10 plus articles I've read already in this, because before this call, I knew you were going to ask a lot of questions. So why are people are fixating with the removing this role? This role is something which can be converted to something else easily. This guys, so
It
AI,
doesn't even need to be converted, Imran. The
yeah,
point is, it already had that those responsibilities.
like,
When
exactly.
Google coined the term of SRE, the intent was, so I'll tell you how the story of Google goes. I think
Mm-hmm.
it was in 2003 when this term
Mm-hmm.
was
Yeah, yeah.
introduced. They said, we have sysadmins who are doing a lot of server side work. Then we
Mm.
have engineers who are doing a lot of development. How about we combine both of them? They know how to write code, they know how to automate anything. You throw a problem at them, they will come up with a program to solve it repeatedly. What if we put those to do sysadmin task? This was where it came. This gave us a lot of beautiful things: IAC, infrastructure as code, Terraform, and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
else. Cloud, Kubernetes. So everything, Docker, right? You
Yes.
see everything that came in became more programmable, became more engineering worthy, and now you do not have to think when you want to spin up a container, right? you
Yes.
you
Yeah.
create that VM infrastructure, you run an application. You do not have to think on the inner workings of when will I set up the VM, what should be the memory and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Now these kind of automations are was intended for the role of SRE, not being on call and fixing issues. This has already a name, right?
Agreed.
On call, that's the name, right? So my only objective, and I think my incumbents are also moving towards it, that SREs should be assisted to go to their responsibilities, what they were actually asked to be doing, rather than
Yeah.
unnecessary task or doing stuff.
I think that makes sense, and that's what I'm saying, right? So, I have interchanged this role very frequently in my own, in a couple of years, in last 2 years, when I see if there is a requirement, doesn't have any kind of a requirement on the system side, on the infrastructure side, they easily comes to the role where they're just writing code automations. Maybe a platform engineer is a better term to say, like they can writing something which is used by across the team, horizontal notification system per se. So yeah, so the point of the whole discussion is, it's I don't see people, why people are really like crazy going after what these people, they are the one of the SMEs in the industry. So yeah, I got your point, you are not chasing that, but I think seems like, but this whole AI SRE kind of a thing is chasing that exactly, like they want to, seems like they want to replace the people and go into the system. But I love the name SRE. I think I read on the first of your first version of the website also. It's Site Reliability Intelligence. Name is quite good. At least the full form is quite good. And but is how you see this evolving, means this, now this term is intelligence is what exactly in the whole thing?
I'll bring it up, but before that, I would like to know from you
Yeah.
is, as an operator, what do you see? How does an SRE solve stuff, and why they are able to solve stuff?
Okay. How they solve stuff, so I think part of the answers we already like we have already discussed, we got to know. So they see, there is a developer who's writing code, they are understanding the system requirements, sorry, the business requirement, and trying to convert it, and they are very good at generating that piece which is business or functionally correct. Now from here there is a different journey start. What that journey is, this piece of code not going to work out and on. Now that require a proper resource allocation, that require a proper idea how much resource it will take, how much scale it needs, how it will scale, and from there on, what's the tooling we require inside it? Is there any event we are emitting? Is there anything log we require? If this part piece of code fails, is there any impact of this or not? Now this piece is very unknown to the guys who is writing the business logic. So how exactly a SRE works, this guys works is they know from the understanding of the piece of code also what may it does. Maybe they don't know the business logic, but they understand what it can does. And the part where this code is like containerized, or maybe in a some form where it is running in the infrastructure, that part they have heavily knowledge. So why we put people like this onto the firefighting? Because when something happens, they have a very good understanding to tracing back from the top to down. What that means is, you the system is big. We are quite fortunate enough to see the system like a lot of banks, lot of big companies when we are in the Avisha also, like how complex their system is. So you cannot go and start searching for everything. You need to pinpoint. So these guys are they develop a tooling around this system, in this system, so that they know where to pinpoint. So they start tracing back from the top to down where the issue was happened, who emitted that, who was the responsible service, what were the services emitting, and what exactly it triggered it, near recent code, old code, what that. So this is the job ASRE does, and conclude with a total root cause analysis, what to fix them. A lot of time the fix is in the infrastructure itself. Maybe it is throttling, like CPU chokeage or memory chokeage is happening right now. Anything in the infrastructure, it quickly solve because they have a knowledge. Now it comes to the code also. Most of the time I have seen this guy has a capacity to also even fix couple of lines of like switch and cases if you have given wrong, and fix it right away. So this guy is a very good understanding figuring out the RCA, good debugging. So this is, I have seen SRE works in the action. This is how they really work.
Right. And I'm just segueing on whatever you said.
Yeah.
As I was also mentioning from the start, right, that what we have built in Rubik's Cube is actually mimicking what an SRE does. And you're absolutely right. The whole journey, what you explained, is exactly what the Rubik's Cube system also tries to mimic. So,
Okay.
first thing you said is knowing the system, right? Getting
Yeah.
a view of the system and everything connected to it. And that is what we start with, understanding your infra, your topology, your connected tools. Uh, it could be your CI/CD pipeline. SREs also understand people, the roles, and
Yes.
spokes assigned to a particular module or something. So
Yeah.
they know what they are doing. They know how to communicate with them. Rubik's Cube also tries to do that. It connects to your Slack, your communication spaces, and other things. So it knows who is working on what. The last aspect is the runtime context of what is happening, and how historical context of what was done to solve something. Combine all this, right? What you get is context awareness. The same thing that an SRE has, same thing we are giving to an AI system, an agentic system.
Okay.
The benefit is whatever the SRE would have done, same thing the AI agents can also do, given a proper harness and this context that you have. Now, just say that there is a latency that's starting to happen, right? You are seeing a longer API call.
Yeah.
Now you have a visibility of, let's say, a deployment that happened an hour back, right?
Okay.
You can run DB queries and check what is the exact latency. You can go and check Grafana and see what is the metric, that is the network traffic metric that is happening. How many people are seeing that 500 issue, or what is the latency gap between your last running state versus now. Having all this context, also knowing who pushed the code, what was the requirement to push the code in Slack discussions, it becomes much more easier to pinpoint and identify, okay, this is a new deployment that could be causing it. Now if you give this context to an AI SRE, or a intelligent system, agentic system, my bad, it can go and run tools, right?
Okay.
It can go and investigate further. It can go and identify these things and then give
Mhm.
you a proper analysis of what happened, why it happened. Now, once you do that, you approve it and it takes action to fix it. It could either be a rollback, it could be maybe
Mhm.
increasing some resources, freeing up something. There is a Kafka worker that has been sitting idle, so freeing up things. A lot of ways it could be solved, and that's what Rubik's cube is capable of doing.
But what happens when it not understand? Because see, it's still a AI, right? It can chances like yeah, brain fog is the right word, but in a situation where doesn't have a sufficient data to act on, so
It
maybe there is not
says that
chances
it,
to
it didn't understand. It says it
like.
doesn't understand and backed by evidences. So something
Mhm.
that it doesn't know, it will still go and create some hypothesis around things, go and investigate stuff. There is no person involved now, right? There are
Mm.
some AI agents who is making some hypothesis, running commands within your infrastructure, your systems and tooling, and gathering evidences, and gives you some representation of a report with a lower confidence of, this is what I did, this is what I found. I am not
Mm.
sure why this is happening. Now, a human being still will go and fix things. But now they already have a list of evidences that was being collected and done
Mm.
before they even go and fix things. Now, there could be a newer context that they understand or they know about. They will go and fix it. And now Rubik's Cube can also understand how it was fixed because it goes and validates, it assists you. So it can even remember that how things were fixed. Next time it adds as a context.
That means it will not go rogue and delete my database.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I got the fair idea. I think from the aspect of the flow you mentioned, that makes sense. The way a generally efficient way a human or a in a tech industry we have figured out to solve a problem. If a tool or a agents or a AI per se can mimic the same thing, yes, there is a high chances it can figure out the real issues rather than I think suing a large number of data through some kind of like AI or the just LLM wrapper. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think it will be very interesting. I have seen the earlier version, but frankly, from last 1 month, you must have done a lot in this. I'm 100% sure. So I really want to see this in action to traverse this from start to end and see the RCA. But that's a very nice way to do it rather than in reinventing the wheel. You're just trying to mimic something which is already proven in the industry, the best way to solve a problem. Yeah, it
And
makes sense.
during the iterations, Imran, one thing that we have been seeing is a lot of times when you solve something which there is an existing workflow and you try to mimic it and solve it, a lot of times you see certain things either which are flawed or intended for humans. Like for
Okay.
our case, I can say one thing is SRE do need pager duty or some kind of alerting,
Alerting, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
If it is an AI agent, it doesn't need a pager duty per se. It needs some way to get alerted, but not
Okay.
a particular tool to do it, right? So eliminating these kind of middle uh, workarounds that were there, or because the use
Mhm.
cases were different, right? A
Okay.
human being was a consumer versus now agentic AI is the consumer. Things have changed. Now we do not rely on visual dashboards, but rather markdown files. Telemetry data can directly be consumed by LLMs because they are good at reading
Mhm.
it. They're good at
Mhm.
reading files. So it becomes much more easier. Regarding progressive discoveries or disclosures, we are seeing a lot of efficient behaviors when you do not give all the tools to the LLM. You tell it what you need, and then progressively it goes and identifies certain avenues or skills, and then tries to do things. You can even automate the whole flow or workflow of certain things. Like Let's say my typical workflow is like this: when incidents come, somebody reports it to me. I would create a ticket first in linear. I'd find the right person to be assigned to that issue, or it could be also be me. And then I pick up that ticket, go resolve it, and then close the ticket. Right? There is a ticketing system involved now.
Yeah.
You can teach Rubik's Cube to follow this process as well. We have made it very programmable in that sense. So a lot of companies who do follow a practice or a typical workflow, and they want Rubik's Cube to be personified. They want to use it as a real SRE. They can do it. So that's the approach that we are taking. That is what is actually working.
Yeah, I think at least the sound of the you and especially how you're building it, I'm pretty sure there seems like there is a too hype right now, and I think like that there are companies who are really trying to solve the problem. But I'm also listening, or I'm seeing rather, I can say like is something which is really something. It's not required. The tool I'm seeing right now, which is claiming to be a SRE, just a bunch of wrapper on the LLM also, and this and that type of tool is very much dangerous also, because again the whole, I think one liner and the very important which I mentioned also, putting AI in production, this line itself has like, I think that there are n number of company like people want to verify, check, infosec, developer, I don't know, CXOs also, to this is really worth to take this much of a risk or not. So yeah, but like the problem is real. I'm also again telling you the AI can solve it. I'm 100% sure. I think I myself was trying. I think couple of year back, I told you there was one project, right? Like, and there are a lot of data is in the Slack. Slack doesn't give you that rack system where you try to search and it give you qualitative these details. But what happens? You have a Confluence plus Slack plus different, create a rag on a top of proprietary LLM or your own house LLM, and have something maybe not for the developer but for something as an info book, like maybe a support engineer trying to figure out, okay, how this issue need to solve, or is there any information I have in this topic or not. That was a very specific case internally, I was trying to solve. So if with this much of a data I able to at least increase 50% efficiency of a support ticket, because that ticket must have solved someplace, there must be some kind of a SOP written or some kind of a things were already there as a run book. People may forget it, but if you know where it is or how to follow it or what exactly you need a detail, so this much problem, people are trying to solve something from the AI, something like this. But AI SRE seems like a very complex thing, and the solution, as you're mentioning, yeah, the solution is also complex and it need to be complex. So that's fair. I got the idea. But do you think people want something like this in house? And as I
They
mentioned,
are
like,
building. They are
okay,
absolutely, there are AI budgets being allocated in companies
oh yeah, I
to
know.
assign people and do it.
Yeah.
Uh, the adoption is not the problem. And recently, one of the challenges I am facing personally is build versus buy, and
Hmm.
that convincing that I have to do why buying a tool would be a better fit, because you cannot talk about that or give a proper defense, because personally I'm also seeing a lot of efficiency in tooling like cloud code and cursor. You can automate a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I it always is a challenge right now. But to your point, the adoption is not very difficult. People are already doing it.
Hmm.
Internal and in-house approaches are there from, I think, past 2 years, and now there are plethora of options and
Hmm.
uh, companies who are coming into the same space that we are in, and trying to help people out.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
What's your So one thing on the next segment that I wanted to move is from an engineering perspective, from person who has been an SRE. I know things. You also are very aware of the pain points and everything. What happens beyond that? What's a non-operator's point of view to these issues?
Okay. You like to know how a part non-engineering team reacts, right? Okay. I
You
think you
have been a
also.
non-engineer from last couple of years, right?
Yeah, yeah. Means I totally understand your question, but see, I becoming a so my role is to become a bridge. I totally understand your question, what you're trying to say, but the story is totally different. The other side, you, me, we know the from the part from the respective of the engineer. This is something a very nightmare kind of a thing, right? But so this for the product, so this for the other teams also. So the people who are anxiously waiting in such scenarios where the incident is there or checking report, okay, why my system is so non-reliable, maybe so the understand their pain also. They are anxious, they are seeing this number is increasing or decreasing or maybe going like very bad shape, but they don't know how to do this. They don't have an answer to solution. The answer to this type of concern is with us. So sometime, and I'll rather than sometime, most of the time, they probably don't understand this is not something a engineering team wants to do it. This is something we do fight every day. The engineering team fight every day. This is something probably we also don't want to fix, or do we don't want to be in the situation, but we cannot fix this will be there. The fixing is to get something around the application more reliable. The infrastructure itself need to be very reliable. So yes, most of the time in non-operator way, non-eng people don't understand. And the understanding, sometimes people like me, people like us in the industry try to give, okay, a simpler version, what exactly you don't know what's going in the background, say, hey, this is what exactly is going on, and this is the reason why it is taking time, or this is the reason why it is happened. But it was not a happy phase, like it is never been a happy phase. So yeah, it's not every time. And believe me, if some people who is very much from the IC side or someone from the tech side, it's difficult to convert those technical thing to the people who are non-technical in this scenario. So yeah, this are the also problem. They are right in their own position because they are the owner of the product. They don't want shitty things happening every day or any night. So I will say I've been the part of this. Now being I'm coming to this side, I also understand why it is important, but it's very difficult to translate that language, man. And this, I think every person from must have facing the same thing.
That makes sense. And I think one of the best things for a non-operator is they can objectively think about the end goals, the outcomes that they want.
Yeah.
And me as an engineer or somebody as an SRE would only have a very narrow or a specific view of the problem and the engineering side
Yes.
of infra side of things. So the business objectives is something that we also need to understand. We also need to be translated. I think
Yes.
your role is actually that bridge, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. So a lot of time, the both side, I'm not saying the one side. A lot of time people doesn't understand the severity. When we say to this is severity, maybe it's a very small thing for engineer, but impacting a single customer can be huge for a business, right? So how you will know a customer who has a annual paying us like more than the 50% of the business? There are a lot of chances are like that. So it's important to understand that bridge the gap. It's there, and it's not from now, it's from very old time. That's why I think the role like my exist or the other people, a lot of product also are the engineer converting to product, their roles are very important, because this bridge is very important to fill both side in understanding the part why engineering is like. So I see this way, engineers are always like, I will do something best, reliable, day one this should be there, day two 100% to be fixed proof, this proof. And product is do as soon as possible, someone is waiting, we can improve always later. So see, this is this the both are right. I mean, whom you're going to blame? It's always the trade-off which matters, right? And sometimes this trade-off converts to the tech debt, and we see that issue, the reliability. So it's always the race, man. I'm not saying someone is right or wrong, but this is again like what you are giving the priority and what we have taken the decision is matters at that moment.
Makes sense. Is one more question I do have
Yeah.
regarding the non-operator side of things.
Mhm.
Would you like, even your role, Imran, as an engineering manager, maybe you assign an on-call person or an SRE some issues, something that broke, or even they figure it out. Would
Mhm.
you like to know what is happening?
Yes, I frankly, when something happens like this, I cannot be like sitting idle in the mind saying, "Hey, let them fix." I'll be like enjoying my coffee or the tea. I really want to know. At that moment, I want to know. I want to know everything. Yeah, I don't want to disturb them and ping them. Hey, tell me first, and then you go fix it. But yes, I want to know. I really want to know everything because maybe they are missing the impact or the something on the priority side or which need to give it the importance. That is the first factor. That's why I want to know ki really where we have to focus first, because from the aspect of the business or the knowledge business part. But apart from that, I don't know, maybe I am engineer still, so I really want to know what's going on. So yes, I like to know. I want to know in this such situation. I always want to be active in this, but obviously I don't want to disturb the folks who are already working on that.
See,
But yes.
why I asked this was
Yeah.
because one of the ways I pitch Rubik's Cube, I'm also not pitching it, I'm just talking about
Mm.
it, that
Yeah.
I like it to be an invisible product,
Okay.
wherein you put it once and it compounds its knowledge, understanding, uh, fixing things, or even giving you RC reports, coming to you when you are needed. That's all. So, for an operator, for a user who is going to use Rubik's Cube, it's most of the time it is going to be invisible, and you only see the values when your time is being saved. You're getting
Yes.
understanding better. But there is another aspect to it. The Since we already know what is happening, why things are breaking, or how things are getting resolved, this translation and the gap that you mentioned is
Hmm.
much more easier to be transmitted to a non-operator who wants to understand what is happening, why things are flawed, or let's say last whole month, what is the overall cost of things, or
Oh yeah.
why things are going this route. These kind of information, wherein you do not want to disturb on-call engineer, still you want to know about it. This is something
Exactly.
Rubik's Cube can also help with.
I
And
can tell you industry follows weekly, sometime daily reports which accumulate to monthly, and that's called that there is a couple of term I can tell you that's called product quality, engineering quality. And one of the key factor is this data, because how do you know how your product is doing? Because this data give you the exact idea, okay, well, how your team capacity, how your team seems like, how your product seems like. So yes, these data are important, and a lot of time we also go like circle back with the engineers to give us a data, which again is not a very pleasant thing to do. And we also know like for them only solving problem is the key important thing, other thing is just bullshit. So yes, so yeah, this data is important for the business, but not maybe not for the engineers who are working on it. I agree.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Another last, I think it is the last segment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of geopolitics disturbances that are happening.
Yeah.
How do you think is it going to impact the business of uh, companies, and maybe touch up on the hiring aspect? Because one of the concerns I'm seeing is lot of people, uh, you know lot of headcount reduction is happening in various organizations. How should
Mm.
we feel about it? What should be done?
See, no doubt, in IT, when the AI boom happens, I think in our sector specifically, where the most impact from the AI is writing code, right now. And the efficiency is so better right now. And I come from the era when the first list came from the uh, mm, sorry, just got a call. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so remember the co-pilot by the GitHub team. So I see writing code by the AI from that era to now where it is very efficient. So the efficiency is so high, lot of companies, big names, small names, they are replacing AI with the people, or maybe I can say they want people who has this ability to produce more impact with the help of AI, not just really manually typing code. That's a two different thing. Enabling themselves or people itself to do produce more, and rather than just writing the old way. So the whole geopolitical and the things right now happening is people are pulling or saving their money. So first cause is every company is trying to save this money, right? Because oil prices are high. I don't want to go very political in this, but understand this way: they are trying to save cost, and they are seeing right now the AI is something will save some cost because people cost are higher and the token cost are lesser. But there are very maybe this is again another controversy I don't want to admit, but I don't see this is efficient. Obviously this is correcting the market, you can say, where one project doesn't require 50 people, it can be done in 20. That is a perfect, makes sense over there. But it doesn't mean you can get it done by 3 people. Again, the people will start burning out and your token cost will be skyrocketing. Right now it is efficient because the tokens are less priced, or I can say it's not really priced what it should be.
Subsidized. Yeah.
Yes, the moment it will come to the corrected market price, I think people will understand the value of the company will understand the value of the people again. It is so it will be there. It will not go away. But the way people are treating it, okay, replacing, wiping out the whole team, I think that's something probably will be very less in the future. Now, how I see this, the tool like this, what we are doing right now is it's not going to, especially in the production or something like this. See, coding is pre-production things, right? Where the people dev productivity is required and sorry, dev productivity and other way it's happening. Like the way you can generate more productivity in this. But again the agree the whole thing is converted to a faster deployment cycles. So the faster deployment cycle means the better product or the faster releases of the features. Any companies, I'm telling you right now. So the tool right now in this space where the post production or post release is going to come, I think that will going to be also give addition to that. Like you building it without any giving to second thought. Okay, is it right? Is it going to fail? Or what going to happen? So first, right now you have a solution where you can write code fast, you can develop fast. Now I think in a 6 month or maybe very soon in 2 3 months you will see people are also not thinking about a post production what is going to happen. So both are balanced by the AI tools, and the real engineers and the sort of people are really focusing on building product, making reliability. So this is how I'm seeing it. So yeah, I think a lot of companies are sacking people, but little bit correction need to be done. That's my personal opinion, but it's okay. It's always happens like this. Industry been jumping on some of the news is very fast and it is correcting himself. So I think it will correct in some time soon.
Got it. No, it absolutely what I am also thinking about regarding AI growth and adoption. People are moving towards it more efficiently than ever,
Yeah, yeah,
but also there is, the drawback of the hype that is easily being circulated.
yeah.
So one challenge that I often see is to how do I differentiate between a signal and a noise. uh, so personally, when you talk to ChatGPT uh, and ask anything, it will give you something. Or you give an idea and just ask it to validate, it will give you
Mm,
fair points. You ask it to tune it towards your perspective, it will do that. And
mm,
go and ask it to basically say against it, it will also do that. That is my problem. So you
Yeah,
never
that
know
makes
what is
sense.
correct, what is incorrect, and that judgment nowadays is reducing a lot. You know, some false and misrepresentation of things. So identifying that signal versus noise is getting more and more difficult. Lot of AI
Agreed.
slop being flooded in the market, so
Yeah,
that also
yeah.
is there. Awesome.
So, yeah,
Imran, anything else you want me to touch on?
I think for today it is good. I like to read more about SRI. I think that concept seems interesting to me. And probably, I'm pretty sure people like me, more from the industry, like to know this rather than this AI SRE hypes. And
I
I
will
told you
drop
that,
in some links,
yeah. Yeah,
the
because
video.
this seems interesting because again I'm telling you I'm not very fond of this. I think Gartner named it. You mentioned this AI SRE thing. I'm not very fond of it, but seems like this SRI is something like we can see like how you're trying to solve the whole problem from this way, from this category. So it will be very interesting to read. Yeah.
Awesome. And Imran, any suggestions or message actually for our viewers since we kicked off our first podcast? Anything that you want to talk about?
Listen to this people. This team is very great, especially Priyank. This guy is, at least if you want to know something going on in industry fresh, I think first of all follow him. You will get a very new fresh information. And to the viewers, I think who is looking to this is, I think people shouldn't be shy to try tools. That is the one thing I'll say because I am see people who from my generation or from the older generation, I'm seeing a little resistance, but I'm not seeing blindly faith, like putting like no human required, like we can replace everything by AI or the robots. But there are some beautiful things going on. People should try tools. People should see, is there something they can give us? They get something new. They can get some valuable out of it. So a lot of juniors right now coming out of the college, guys, they inbuilt, they have this capacity. Okay, there's new tool. They try. They do integrate these tools or the AI into their day-to-day life. Someone, people like us, like in from the industry 10 years, 15 years, uh, i I had just a couple of suggestion on this one. Is we should still, we should also try something new. We should also see some what's going on in the industry on the AI in different aspect also, because it's shaping it very fast. You cannot keep up with it if you're not looking. You're little looking some away, some for a minute or something, you see something happened already. We are seeing every next week there's a new model, and it is like there's a huge difference with the last one also. So we have to keep up with it, and we have to see what exactly happening. So this is the first one really thing which I want to say everyone, despite of the either the guys in college or like the industry leader, we should know what's going on in our surrounding, especially in the AI. This is the one thing I really want to say to the viewers.
Thanks a lot, Imran, for taking out the time and talking to me.